Do you know what a case number is? Today we'll be talking about case numbers for DV lottery. As you can see, after you win the green card lottery, you receive a letter like this. This is a letter that I received after I won DV 2012. And as you can see at the bottom, like right here at the bottom, there's a case number which starts with 2012 and then AF, my region, and then my case number was 4,769, which was a pretty low case number. So for DV 2026, you're gonna get a letter like this. The only difference is the number is gonna be, instead of the 2012, is gonna say 2026. So this is a case number, and today we'll be talking about a low case number and a high case number. As I have told you, this case number 4,000 is a really low case number. So how do you know a case number is a high case number or a low case number? Every year, 55,000 visas are issued for DV lottery. 55,000 including the principal applicants and their families. So if you have a family of 5, then they deduct out of the 55,000. So it's not 55,000 principal applicants visas, but 55,000 that includes the principal applicant and the derivatives. So in other words, if they're going to issue 55,000 visas, it means like if you have a case number that is 55,000 and below, you have a low case number. Why? Because chances are very high you'll be invited for an interview and then eventually get a visa. If you have 100,000 case number, your chances of getting an interview is not very high, because that is a high case number, is above the limit of what visas they're going to issue. This is how it works. So if somebody maybe who has a low case number, maybe 60,000, 50,000, 40,000, either does not show up for the interview, or maybe they decide not to go to America, or maybe they decide, or maybe they won the green card and they never checked. There's so many people out there who won the green card lottery that they don't even know they won the green card lottery. So those people, because they're not going to process those visas, those people with high case numbers get allocated those visas, and then they get a chance to come to America. What is a low case number? As I said, a low case number means that you have a high chance of actually being invited for an interview and getting a visa. Does winning the green card lottery mean that you will get a visa and come to America? No, it does not. After you win the green card lottery and you get a case number, the next thing, you're gonna wait until around September, October of that year. So if you're DV 2026, the results are coming out in May. So in September or October, you begin looking at what is called a visa bulletin. And what is a visa bulletin? For the visa bulletin, you just go to Google, type visa bulletin, and then you're going to go at the bottom where you say there's a DV, because there's a lot of categories there. So you have to look where there's a DV lottery category, and you got to look at the case number. If you look at this bulletin, you go all the way down, and then you can see visa bulletin for April 2025. This means like these people are ready to be scheduled for interviews. So their 2NL will be sent. I'll talk about 2NL in another video, but then the 2NLs will be sent, and then they'll be scheduled, or they're ready to be scheduled at the embassies. So for April, you can see the number is 30,000. If you remember very well, I told you my case number was 4,769. So 4,769 falls under the 30,000. It's less than the 30,000, which means my case either was scheduled, is going to be scheduled, or the visa has been issued. If you go down, you can look at the month of May. And in the month of May, you can see is 35,000. If you remember my video about the DS260, and I said like it doesn't matter when you complete the form if you have high case number, is because you have to look at this visa bulletin. So if 100,000 is not on this visa bulletin, as much as you completed your DS260 on the first day, you're still not going to be scheduled at the embassy. You have to wait until the number or your case number is current on this visa bulletin. I know it's a little bit complicated, but once you win the green card lottery, the rate at which you're going to learn how to interpret this visa bulletin, it will shock you, because you really want to come to America. So you'll put in the effort to learn what a visa bulletin is. So visa bulletin, that's what is used for. So you have a case number. After you have a case number, you go to the visa bulletin and see if your number falls under that number that's provided for that month. So if it's May, you know, like 35,000 and below, you're ready to be scheduled for the interview. So like I said, DV 2024, they were very, very lucky, especially at Nairobi Embassy. The case number of like 100,000 and over were able to get a visa and come to the United States. Which brings us to the next topic that you're going to talk about is embassy performance. So you look at the visa bulletin and then your number is current. Maybe you are number 30,000 and then the visa bulletin is 35,000, which means you can be scheduled anytime. But guess what? If your embassy is not performing very well, your case will be ready to be scheduled and your embassy will not schedule you. And guess what? There is nothing you can do about it. There's literally nothing. You cannot write to the embassy. You cannot go over there and ask what's going on. You just have to be patient and wait. There's a small amount of cases where you can decide to transfer your case from that bad performing embassy to a better performing embassy. But then you have to understand that sometimes doing that, you have to be very careful because you have to establish some form of some residency in the new country. For example, if you're transferring your case from Kenya all the way to Rwanda or all the way to Tanzania, you have to establish a form of residency. How can you establish a form of residency? Either you get a job in Rwanda and then you can provide information. You're like, you know what, look at it, guys. I was here for a job, so I have to interview in this embassy. Or maybe you got married to somebody in Tanzania. Then you can say, I moved here after I got married. Or maybe you have proof of like actually moving from Kenya to Tanzania before that date. And then that also you can provide proof at the embassy to establish some form of residency in that new country. A lot of people make this mistake where you want to schedule an interview at another embassy because your embassy is performing poorly, and then you just fly over there, you go to do the interview and then go back. Sometimes you'll see a lot of people, they're on 221Gs because guess what? They just hold your visa. I don't know why. I've seen like if you see the people who transfer their cases to Rwanda, a lot of them got like 221Gs. I don't know why they gave them that. But then like you have to establish a form of residency if you're moving a case to a better performing embassy. Like I said before, in DV 2024, Nairobi outperformed itself. It's never performed like that in like ever. For DV 2023, somebody with a 35,000 case number was not interviewed at Nairobi. They did not get a chance even to get an interview. They were not scheduled. And those who were scheduled on September 7th, a lot of them, the visa was canceled or the appointment was canceled because they issued enough visas by that time. So if they issue 55,000 visas, they stop processing DV visas for that fiscal year. So if they finish the 55,000 in May, then that's when the interviews will stop. They continue issuing visas until they reach the 55,000 mark. Sometimes they go a little bit above it, but then for the most part, they try to stay under 55,000. So what determines if you're going to get to the US after you win the green card lottery? One is the case number. Because if you have a low case number, if you have 4,000, like Steve, who's here, he's a DV 2025, and his number was like, I think 7,000 or 9,000. I don't remember very well. But he did his interview already and he's in the United States. But then as you can see, he's a DV 2025. And after Steve, Nairobi has not scheduled anybody yet. So stop scheduling interviews after around 11,000 case number. So if you have 30,000, you can be scheduled, but because you have a poorly performing embassy like Nairobi this year, then you're just sitting there and you might miss your chance to come to the United States because of the poor performance of the embassy. 100,000 was scheduled in Nairobi, and in Accra, probably somebody with 30,000 was never scheduled. And that is how embassy performance and your case number determines if you make it to America or if you don't. So completing your DS to 60 as soon as possible if you have a case number is good. But then guess what? You have to wait until your number is current on the visa bulletin for you to be scheduled for an interview. So if you have 100,000, even if you complete your DS260 on the first day, you will not be scheduled until your number is current on the visa bulletin. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, like, and comment and share this video so that you can have people actually knowing this information. Thanks for watching.